Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a brand new reimagining of Dunswell Zoo. So, in the last episode of the series, I built the Andean bear habitat. I wasn't entirely happy with it, and then the next episode was going to be the a wetlands aviary for the Pantanal, and then it was going to be a nocturnal house for the kiwi over in Australia and New Zealand. I had some major troubles with the save file, and it turns out I'm fairly confident in saying that the. Let me just readjust myself in my chair. The save file became corrupted. So it wouldn't have mattered what mods I added or removed or what updates were in the game. It was very unlikely that I was ever going to get back into that save file. So I started a new one, and I believe I've shown you it already in some capacity. So this episode will be the first episode. I'm just going to show you everything I've done so far. The zoo isn't open yet. It's still very much closed to guests at the moment. We're just going to start here. Of course, you enter this way. You can't enter in there. Coaches to the left. You can't enter in there. You have to drive all the way down to the bottom here. And then you've got disabled spots either side. Then you've got electric vehicle spots either side. And then you've got some standard parking right at the bottom here. And then some more down here. And then this is sort of like for vans. That's how I've imagined it. So longer vehicles like vans and minibuses and things like that, they would park down here. And then the rest are just normal parking spaces. There's also, if we use this swanky little path, over here there's a little pond, little wetlands area. I really like it. And there's some wildflowers. I need to tidy this up. And then here we have the bus station, or the bus stop really. And I need to hide. I think I've already hidden actually, yeah, a guest spawner in here. Yes, I have. Because the buses are European, and even though the United Kingdom is in Europe, our drivers are on the right hand side of the vehicle, not the left. So the doors to exit would actually be on this side, but they're not. So, and then of course you walk under these arches and you see the welcome sign there, and most people will take this route, I would imagine. Make sure you look when you cross, and you can just see that view there already. Just wow. Wow. Yeah. I'm much happier with this iteration of Dunswell Zoo. For now, there are still some teething issues, which we'll get onto shortly. But yeah, we've got more or less the same plaza as before. So you would come through, and then you've got the gift shop, which I need to do the signage for, and some of the interior stuff needs putting in, like the soft toys and stuff like that. And the food court, pretty much done in there. This is one of the first things I did. Some brand new tables. And then outside we've got some brand new benches. There is far more seating than is necessary. I might remove some of these picnic benches and put some vending machines in. Maybe some statues, stuff like that. And then of course we get out here. We're just going to race along. And we'll meet Frank. So Frank's back. Frank is my handy dandy person height robot. I didn't actually create Frank. Frank is Frank 2.0. Frank is available on the Steam Workshop. Still need the free build mod to put the water in here because it's so close to the path. There is a fix for that on the modding Discord server, but I don't use Discord, so that's where we're at with that. We'll walk along here. Again, need to put the soft toys in, stuff like that, and the billboards. But we've got the axolotls and the death adder, is it? Common death adder? Yes. We've got those in, just so that when the zoo does open, we get some wonderful donations and get the numbers in. Can we spot any of the axolotls? Yes, there's one right there. Would you look at that? Cool. Very different from last time is sort of this area of the zoo. So we have staff access here. You can see we're going to grow some bamboo to feed the animals that eat bamboo. I need to put a door here which will lead through into the staff zone. Got some fruits and vegetables growing in this little area here, what we can use to feed the animals. Got some smaller staff rooms nestled back here. Got a little stretch of wildflowers and an insect hotel because conservation is super important in the zoo. Staff room back here as well. Got the diner stroke restaurant. I remember showing this last time. I think the only thing that's changed is I've put some decorations up and we've replaced the windows at the back with opaque glass rather than see-through, because you would only be looking at the sides of these buildings and it's not very nice. Then we go through this gate and we're in the little service compound, little service yard. Then we've got these big wooden gates that would swing open and allow lorries and trucks to come in and deliver animals and stuff like that. And then inside here it's just blank. It's multiple staff rooms and it's essentially all that's going to be in here for now. And then if I just do a little cheat, you haven't seen this. I didn't do this at all. Got this flower bed with the bamboo back in. Monorail station, toilets down there. There was seating down here. I've yet to do that. That will be going back in. Got staff access here. Monorail entrance. I need to do the railings a little bit further, I think. And then round here. Slightly different round here. So I think the last time I showed this, the monorail wasn't in yet, whereas now it is, and because of that I've had to flatten the roof. It lets a lot more light in. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I preferred the sloped roof that I had. But yeah, I had to flatten the roof because the monorail goes over the top of it. And I need to put the trees and the bushes and stuff around here. So that's where we're at in the entrance plaza. I have done a lot since I last showed this off. So we've got all this stuff back in, obviously. Australia's still over to the right here, but you will notice that things are looking slightly different to how they did before. Need to touch that up there. Then we get up here, and we have Asia, Africa, Australia, and then South America still over there. Asia, pretty much done. Obviously there's some smoothing needs to be done out here. I need to sort that out. But it's more or less done. At the entrance to Asia anyway. And you see the monorail there. Africa, haven't really touched. It needs this slope adjusting. And for now it's just housing all my Australia stuff. and we need to mask this in the background. And then obviously Australia, which I've done a lot of work on. So you come down the slope like you did last time into the Australia zone, and last time you were greeted by the yellow-footed rock wallaby, which were just behind this statue, which tells you what animals you can see. Obviously change things around, so I need new infographics to create for that. But we've got 2 species in here, and let's see if we can spot any of them. Yep. So over there we have the red kangaroo, and of course the other species in here is the emu. I think that gave it away. And there's the emu. And they share a rather large habitat, which is sort of the starting habitat of the Australia zone. It's going to hold a decent amount of red kangaroo and a decent amount of emu. I don't think I'm going to breed the emu. I might breed the red kangaroo just so we can get some more money coming into the zoo and conservation credits, stuff like that. It's by no means finished. I've got some decoration to put on the outside. We need to cover the scent markers up a little bit, but it's mostly there. And then you of course come around this side, and there's no education around here yet, so I need to do that. You just get a nice almost 360 view of the emu and the kangaroo. In fact, you can see an emu chilling in there. And then the monorail is hidden, which I'd completely forgot it was there, in all honesty. The monorail is hidden by this tree line here, which is really what I wanted. So this is obviously the monorail going out into the zoo, and the monorail going back to the entrance plaza is here. So if you're in guest perspective, you're not going to see it really. Unless you look for it, it's going to be masked by this tree line. But when you're up there, you can still actually see into the habitats, which is quite nice. So then we come around here and need to patch the door. But yeah, we've got a nice indoor area for the kangaroos and a separate indoor area for the emus, even though the emus have decided they want to use this area. I need to move this back because it's poking through the wall and I don't like it. Then we have this, which is rather obnoxious, but we can spruce it up a little bit. It's a little staff complex, so I need to put the other gates in, and we just pop through. Yeah, it's just a nice little staff complex. It's got every staff building you would need: trade centre, veterinary, staff room, another vet, keeper hut, another vet. It's going to serve a lot of animals, and then it also has access on the back, but we'll get onto that shortly. Then, following this path round, there's this fence here. Again, needs a bit more decoration on the outside, but just nipping quickly over behind the kangaroos and the emu, we have a little cosmic cow ice cream shop. It would appear that they have raspberry ripple, mint choc chip, not a clue, and not a clue. And there's also a gulpy soda. Such an American word, soda. Call it pop over here. But in this habitat we have the dingoes. So the dingoes were going to be in Dunswell Zoo, the previous iteration. Unfortunately, due to the issues with the save file, I never got around to building for them. But I decided to put them in here. And this is very much like the habitat I was going to build for them in the first place. So it's segregated, it's walled in at the back, sort of outbacky, deserty theming. Maybe put a few more bits of education and information in there. But you have this glass wall for viewing the dingoes. And they're all sort of over here. So we've got 2 there. Need to do something with the back here. We've got the cave, which of course leads into their interior shelter. I thought that was a nice little touch. So there's 2 over there. I think I've got 6 in total. But the point is that you're maybe not going to see them all, so we'll just phase through the glass and pretend that didn't happen. Again, their habitat could probably do with a little bit more sprucing up. But it's fine for now. So yeah, there's 2 dingoes there, which would mean the other 4 are probably inside here. Yeah, they are. They're all inside here. So inside, then, they have... we can shut this area off if we want to. If we need to separate a dingo for a medical examination. Oops, I forgot a piece of mesh. And same at that side. Yeah, we can separate a dingo if need be. But we'll just head back out. Back along here. And this brings us out to here, where the monorail then heads out into the Africa zone. And this, of course, is where we entered for the emu and kangaroo. So then we head down here. Obviously this needs filling in. No dingo viewing at this side. And then you reach the brand new Australia house. So I will show you actually... Oh, excuse me, I've got a new chair and in some positions it's rather uncomfortable. I will show you the difference between the old Australia house and the new one. The new one is actually a Frankenstein job. It was originally the Wetlands Dome, which Rudy Renkamel built and put on the workshop as part of his competition for who could build the best Wetlands Dome. I didn't want to do that, so I sort of butchered the dome. And it's round at one end and it's flat at the other end, but you can see just how tall it is, and that I've already mapped out where things are going to be going. Excuse me just a moment, I have pins and needles in my leg and it's really hurting. My apologies about that. God, that hurt. Pins and needles in my left leg. And on the back, it's flat, because that's where the monorail is. I may sort of curve it down onto the monorail station, but as it stands right now, I kind of like it flat. I think it makes a lot of sense having it flat. Because obviously you would go up, and round, and up, and you're on the monorail station. And obviously it's separate to that, but I haven't got much room to work with. That's strange. You can walk off the platform, but you can't walk over the rail. Yeah, I haven't got much room to work with if I curve it down, because this is the zoo boundary here. So I might just do it flat. But we'll see. But while we're up here, you can see where I've put things. So these aren't definite, so take it with a pinch of salt at the moment. So we've got the Victorian koala and the southern hairy-nosed wombat in this large enclosure here. Got the Queensland koala over here, but I'm a bit apprehensive of having the two koalas opposite each other. and then I will show you around the other ones. I'll show you now. Let's change our camera mode. So common wombat has this sort of little indoor area and a bigger outdoor area. Then we have the platypus in here. A lot of room for the platypus. That's because we're going to have a fair few platypuses. I don't know. We're going to have multiple specimens of platypus and become sort of like a European breeding centre for the platypus. Also, I want to do some underwater viewing, and that requires a bit of landscaping. That's why they've got such a large footprint for their habitat. Then to the left of them is the yellow-footed rock wallabies. They're going to be in here. Then next to them we have the first of two enclosures for the Tasmanian devil, and then another enclosure for the Tasmanian devil. And then next to them we have an enclosure for the numbat, which is going to be very different to the previous enclosure for the numbat. This one's going to be sort of waist height for the guests, so many more viewing opportunities for the numbat. Tree kangaroos, it's going to be the Lumholtz tree kangaroo in here, which I don't believe is actually currently housed in the UK. Most collections have Goodfellow's tree kangaroo. So we're going to separate the male and female, but obviously mix them for breeding purposes as and when. And then that's essentially the entire footprint so far of the Australia house. It's massive, but when you compare it to the old Australia house, which is this one, yeah, it was the right way around. So this is the old Australia house, and obviously we had, if we line it up sort of as best as we can, that's the old Australia house. So we had the outdoor access. Just lower it down a bit actually. Yeah, we had the outdoor access for the two colonies of koalas and common wombats. And then inside, of course, we had our numbats in here, our greater bilby in here. Platypus was going to go sort of in here. Koala. And then we have the monorail station, the jungle, and then it led out over here. It's not actually that much bigger than the Australia house that I built, just that this one looks better. It's sort of like double, I guess, almost double the width and what, maybe a quarter bigger. So I think we're going to keep this Australia house rather than go back to the old one. I know bigger isn't always better, but I think in this case it probably is. And then to exit the Australia house, if you're going to follow the directions, you would come through here and then take a right into this sort of airlock-ish system into the nocturnal house, which will have the greater bilbies to your right, and then you come through here, and then to your right again you have a new animal, which is the eastern quoll, and then you come through here, and then to your left you're going to have the kiwis, and then in here you're going to be able to walk over and through the brush-tailed bettong, I think it's called. And then there's another airlock here, and then you're back outside, obviously. There is also a large area here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. It's if I can get this walk through bettong habitat working how I want it to work. If we go on to they're critically endangered, and they can have up to 10. So if we have 9 females, 10 adults and 9 females, and all those 9 females get pregnant, they have 1 child each. That's 605 meters squared that they need, which is probably about that, I reckon, just eyeballing it. So that could be staff, but it seems rather excessive for staff side. I don't know yet. It's not final, the layout. It's just what I've got so far. Then there would be the wallaby walkthrough, probably here. That would be the swamp wallaby and the Bennett's wallaby, which of course we had in the last iteration of Dunswell Zoo. And then the only other habitat to build for the Australia zone really after that is the Australian sea lions. So, I mean, this is the back of the zoo here. So it depends how big I want to make our Australian sea lion habitat, because I don't want a sea lion show per se. I don't find those entertaining or particularly high in conservation value. But the Australian sea lion, not many people know about it. So they are endangered, and they can have up to 15 females and 5 males. So, and that says group size is 15 max. So if we do 15 adults, which would be a nice size breeding colony, they need 1004 meters squared of water surface area and 520 meters squared of deep water and 452 meters squared of land. But then if you look at how many, they can have one. So let's say we have 3 males and the rest are females. So we could have up to 12 juveniles at any given time, which significantly increases the footprint of the habitat. But they are endangered. There aren't a lot of, I don't think there's any actually, collections outside of Australia that have Australian sea lions. Does it say? 66 breeding colonies, Australian sea lions. Forage exclusively on the sea bottom. An adult may adopt a pup or pups of another. Nutrient-rich feces, coastal ecosystem, that's good. Top of cliffs as they're excellent climbers. And no interspecies. So it's pretty big habitat for the Australian sea lion. So maybe we do sort of then taper the border into this corner, and we'll have this as the Australian sea lion, this is the wallaby walkabout, and then you've got that for Africa, and then Asia's going to wrap around, and we've got this back part of the zoo as well. So that's where we're at. So let me know what you think about my plans for the Australia zone. Of course it's subject to change, nothing sort of from the dome onwards is finalised, but what I've already built is pretty much finalised. If we get some more Australian animals via mods or official animals from Frontier that have a greater conservation value and can live with the red kangaroo and the emu, they could go in here, or we could swap out the red kangaroo or the emu for whatever that species or species may be. But that's where we are at the moment. Heading over to the South America zone then, and you will notice things have significantly changed from last time. If you can hear my cat snoring, I do apologise. We've now let my other cat upstairs since Milo, my other cat, passed away a few weeks ago. Actually, it was nearly a month ago now. Wow. Yeah, it'll be a month next Wednesday. Jesus. Yeah, we've let my other cat upstairs now, and she likes to sleep in my doorway, but she snores, and I can hear it, so you may be able to hear it. So South America, I wanted to keep it more or less the same as last time, but make some improvements, which hopefully I have done. I've spent more time in South America than I have in Australia, in case you haven't guessed. Not in real life, never been to either, but in the game. So you come off this path here and you're greeted by the Chacoan peccaries. And there's this slightly strange viewing angle you can get for the Chacoan peccaries. So the habitat, obviously when you first enter, it's sort of eye level here. And then as you walk along the path, it dips. See there's one foraging for food down there, and then of course there's another two here, and they have got some water down here as well actually. Now this was inspired by the Visayan warty pig habitat at Chester Zoo. I thought it was a very fitting habitat for the Chacoan peccaries. So they've got more room than they had last time. We've also got more Chacoan peccaries than we had last time, because much like the platypus, I'd like Dunswell Zoo to become sort of this breeding centre for the species within Europe. So that's that. So that's the outdoor accommodation for the Chacoan peccaries. Go through the gates. Then we've got a new staff area here. So keeper hut, vets, staff room, trade centre, quarantine, and we can put a few more buildings in should we need to, but we don't have a need at the moment. And then we walk through this tiny little door that I will probably replace. And we're inside the Chacoan peccary habitat. So there's a little section that's separate. Again, if we need to separate any of the peccaries, see they're all in here. So we can shut this gate if need be. It's got the hinges on them. And we can also shut that gate. So they have proper outdoor access. And they have indoor as well. I need to put a door on here. Same as on here. I've completely forgotten about that. But yeah, I suppose what you can't see is this little wildflower meadowy thing. You can't see that from up there. But we've got a lot of Chacoan peccaries, as you can see. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. 7, 8. 9, 10. Got 10 Chacoan peccaries. And of course they can have lots of babies. So they need the extra room. So just warp through the wall. But what I do like is if I can get the right angle. Here we go. The way the roof's designed, it looks like there's quite a few buildings there. But it's not, it's just the one building. And I hate roofs, so I'm really impressed with myself with that one. So I've got to walk around here. I need to put the covers on the donation bins. You can sort of see the behind the scenes stuff back there. I've done like a layer of bamboo and there's some pampas and stuff like that there. It looks better here, I think. Then just quickly nipping back. Got some implied sort of education about the importance of habitat diversity, and there's some of that here. Lots of space on the left here. Depends what we get in that next DLC and update. We might get an animal what I can put in here. I've just sort of left it blank for now. Then we've got the toilets. So we've got the wildflower meadow at one side and a wildflower meadow with a little bit more planting. You know, we've got tree, we've got some arrow bush, some ferns. So that's that. And then we hit where things get really different, but not that different. It'll make sense in a minute, trust me. So we've got the guanaco and the greater rear. So you also now have this staff access, which wasn't there last time. And this just allows the staff to move between habitats and behind the scenes stuff without the guests having to see that. It's also a good way to transport animals as well. And of course that comes out, and then they would go in this one, and that leads to the guanaco. But we'll head to the right first, and we have the greater rear, or rhea. It's quite an open habitat at this side. I'm going to leave that as it is. It annoys me because I don't like it an awful lot. But I have seen stuff similar to this before, so it's not completely unrealistic in that aspect. And then again, there's no education here for them yet, but there will be. Gone for double posts on this, where it's single posted. You can sort of see that. So I just decided to go for double posts in the end. And I've tried to create this barrier between the greater rear and the guests. Not just the physical barrier, but like rocks and plants and stuff like that, without really obscuring the view. But it's just that Yorkshire Wildlife Park used to have a species of rhea, and they had to be moved on to another collection because they were going after the guests, trying to peck them. The same is also true for a small animal collection in the city that I live in. They have a species of rhea. I don't know what species it is off the top of my head, but you can't walk in with them. They're behind a fence. So I wanted to keep that going, in that you can get really close to these animals and see them in their beauty, also not obscuring the view, but not let them get too close. I need to come back and maybe put some more stuff in here. But there's a lot more rhea this time. We've got 1 male and 7 females, I think. So again, same idea. I want the zoo to be a centre for breeding and conservation of that species. And then again, we've got some implied education here. The guanaco habitat, more or less exactly the same as last time, other than it's a little bit more vertical this time. I didn't realise the fence was quite that high. I may need to lower that down. Yeah, probably definitely going to have to lower this fence down. Is it all connected? Let's have a look. It is. Right, we can lower it down. Where's the movement thing? Oh, it's all the way over here, right. Let's do that. That's better. So yeah, the guanaco habitat, the house is bigger, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and we'll get onto that in just a moment. There's a lot more verticality to the habitat, so there's this like cliff face now, and the slopes are a bit steeper, and I just really wanted to recreate slightly more accurately the habitat you would find the guanaco in, whilst also keeping their plant preferences in mind. And I think I've hopefully managed to achieve that. So we'll just show you the behind the scenes stuff for the guanaco. Let's come down this corridor, and then up here. And they can do visual checks from here. Obviously it's very steep at this side. I need to do something about that. Put some more plants in, I think. But yeah, you can do visual checks on the animals from here. got space back here as well in case we need to add any staff buildings, but at the moment it's running more or less fine. We've got our little bit of Z fighting going on. Little door here to come through. More or less the same design as last time, so this area can be sectioned off if the guanaco or a couple of guanaco need to be separated from the rest of the herd. There's a lot of poo. I didn't realise there was going to be that much poo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Got 11 guanaco in here. So I think 10 females and 1 male. We're not going to breed them. There's a lot of poo in here. Good God. Need to get a keeper over here. But yeah, the guanacos, they still need renaming, of course, to what we had last time. Yeah, nice big house. The reason why it's so big is because... Is it the guanaco? So they can share with the llama, and the greater rhea can also share with the llama. So I was thinking, if we end up with a surplus of greater rhea, and they can't stay over there, then we move them in here with the guanaco, and that's why it's such a big house. It's also because we've got a lot of guanaco too, but it's besides the point. And then we're gonna shift back. And we're going to continue with our South America tour. So past the guanaco, I've got the rhea at the other side. And then, boom. So to the right we have the Peruvian prairie. Similar, but not the same to last time. Straight on you have the Pantanal, and then to your left here, if you remember last time in the Dunswell Zoo, there was that L-shaped building what just had like food and drink in, and I was like, when the Freebuild mod gets updated, I'll do a plaza and stuff like that. I decided to just do it up here, so there's a slope, and you come up here, and there we go. You can sit and eat now, and it's just a nice little place for a snack. And there's also a staff room just around the back here. There's also some additional seating up here. I need to cap the end off. I don't know why that's missing, but it's showing there. Oh well. And then you come up here and you get another view of the guanaco, and you can eat your lunch up here. And the guanaco can just do their thing behind you. And if there's any rhea in here, then they can do their thing as well. Little planted bed. So I need to adjust those statues. They're meant to be facing in opposite directions, like the ones down here. Around here is just like another bit of nature, just wildflowers and trees and bushes, and just it's a really nice place for native animals to take up residence. You know, sparrows and blackbirds and blue tits and great tits and goldfinches and kestrels, lizards, mice, you know, stuff like that. Anyway, we're going to head to the Peruvian prairie, and on your left, like last time, there will be bush dogs. Their habitat is more or less the same size as it was last time, with the waterfall, of course. The house is a bit bigger this time. There are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, the door is ridiculously big because the keepers need to get out here as well. And the other reason is the amount of bush dogs. It varies from some of the collections where I've been doing research. So Yorkshire Wildlife Park, for example, doesn't have many bush dogs. I think it has 5 or 4 in total, a male and 3 females, I think it is. Whereas Chester Zoo has quite a lot of bush dogs and continues to have bush dog pups every year. So it varies from collection to collection. So we've got 2 areas, one bigger than the other, of course. You can see our bush dogs have just been fed. So I've got 7, I think, at the moment. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, and I think there was some outside. Or perhaps not, maybe we just have the 5. I thought I had 7. Never mind then, we've got 5. So yeah, there's our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's just have the 5. Got to get some more of them then. And then over here we have some vending machine. Just got Cosmic Cow ice cream, so that'd be a refrigerated vending machine. Hot dog squad. You don't get many of these kind of things in the UK, but they do exist. So there's that, I suppose. And then just your classic drink vending machines, which are very, very common. We'll go down here first. So we have staff access here, and there's obviously the rare habitat there. But in here there's also access to the anteaters. Again, much bigger than last time. A couple of reasons for that. If I remember correctly, and here's where I probably don't. No, I do, yeah. So we can have 2 females or 2 males in here. So we could keep, let's say the female has a baby girl and the baby girl matures, we can keep the 2 females in here and we can move the males into the coati habitat. Stuff like that. And there's also access at this side to behind the peccary habitat where there's some more staff buildings. So we do have 2 anteaters for now. One is asleep inside and the other is outside, quite possibly also asleep. Just needs a little bit more detail around the windows. It looks a little bit barren and bare at the moment. I'm thinking maybe put something here because it's a lot of wasted space. Then of course we have the viewing for the anteaters. Probably about the same size as last time, the habitat, because if I just go on here, yeah, they need 720 and I've given them 1674, sorry. So they've got just over double what they need as a minimum. Yeah, we've got the viewing for the anteaters here. Then anteaters and coatis here, slightly bigger habitat. That's because I'm going to manage things a little bit better, and there could also be another species what goes in here. There isn't at the minute, but there could be. So of course you've got your viewing for your coatis and your anteaters, just like last time. The viewing also splits off from the main path, and you can come down here and check out the coatis and the anteaters and also be educated as well, because there's going to be some education boards around the back there. So we can see some of our coatis already. We haven't got enough yet. I was waiting for some better genetics to appear. Got a little planted segment in the middle. Got our education. So this bit's a bit more themed, you know, we've got the mural at the back, we've got food and drink, and then around the back here we've got drink and just a bit of climbing for the coatis. They seem to like it out here more than they do. Sorry, they seem to like it in here more than they do out here. The guests can come right up and view, and then obviously that's also staff access right through to the Dracoan Peccaries. So it's all linked up behind the scenes. It's really easy staff access, like it would be in real life. And then of course you would come around this path, and you can either cut back for another look, or you can keep walking around here. And this is where things differ. So it's going to go into the Asian zone from here. And then back here, we have the maned wolf. So this is their indoor accommodation. Maned wolves don't really need to be separated. It's just for veterinary purposes and health checks and stuff like that. So we've just got the two. And the door is ridiculously large because staff access really annoys me. We need sort of secondary habitat gates that only staff members can use. So we have the maned wolves over on the right here. Ignore my terrible curbing. The curbing is now in, but sloped curbing is not for me. Anyway, swiftly moving on. We have our maned wolves over here. And they've got a very diverse habitat, slightly bigger than last time. So you can see one sort of lounging around there. Where's the other one? So they've got lots of hiding places, because I always think of maned wolves as being quite secretive. So it could be behind this drop for all I know. It is not, which probably means it's nestled in this overgrown bit at the back. Is that it? No, that's a bit of the tree. Am I being really blind here? There's one. And I've got this nice shallow pool what they can wade through. Show off those long legs. Where is my second maned wolf? Oh, it's there. It's behind the rock. That's why we couldn't see it. So we've got our two maned wolves. Can only have two in a habitat. And yeah, maned wolves. They do have an education point. So there's that. And then again, this planted border in the middle. We'll just cut through here. You got some more viewing for the bush dogs over here. Probably better viewing than the maned wolves. I should have brought that veg in a little bit more for the maned wolves. Oh well. Then you have staff access to another indoor habitat, which is segregated into two. Again, wouldn't really need to separate these animals. Need to sort that out. Wouldn't really need to separate these animals into two, but it's just there for veterinary purposes and realism. Slightly different habitat for these this time. We have the mountain tapirs, and they're both there in the water. They can only have a maximum of 2 mountain tapirs, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so 1 male on its own, 1 female on its own, and then 1 male, 1 female paired. So I want this zoo, again, to be a conservation and breeding centre for these animals, this species. So the extra room is for juveniles, but it's also because, as you may have seen briefly before I got rid of it rather foolishly, they can live with quite a few other species. So if we have any surplus animals what need some temporary housing, we can pop them in this habitat with the mountain tapirs. They also have an education point, and then you can come round and down here, and then this is going to be the entrance to the Pantanal region, which I have done nothing in yet, as you can see. So there's the capybara, white-faced saki monkey, and the Azara's agouti habitat to do. There's the Andean bear habitat to do. But I may do that one again from scratch because I wasn't entirely happy with the last one, so I may do that again from scratch. There's the wetlands aviary for the Pantanal region. That you never saw, I don't think, or you saw it briefly in the Andean bear episode. I might redo that because I actually forgot a species last time, so it needs to be a little bit bigger and have a little bit more diversity in its habitats. And then of course I've got the koalas, the wombats, the rock wallabies, and the numbats to do. And then the platypus, Victorian koala, Tasmanian devil, southern hairy-nosed wombat, greater bilby, eastern quoll, brush-tailed bettong, North Island brown kiwi. They all need doing, but they'll probably have an episode each because I haven't built for them before. And then of course the wallaby walkthrough for the Bennett's wallabies and the swamp wallabies. Pretty much the same as the last habitat for them. But I'll just recreate it and make it a bit fancier. And then the Australian sea lion. That'll be an episode, possibly even two, because it's going to be really big. It's going to have to be quite detailed. And then obviously South America, we've got the entire Pantanal roster, and then the Atlantic forest, and then reptiles at risk. And then we can move into other zones. But, I mean, if we just quickly pop out. Look at all this space, what we've still got. You know, yes, this is quite big, but look how many species it houses. So, I'm not too bothered about that. This is going to be quite big, but most of the animals in here are endangered or critically endangered, so it makes sense to have a lot of room for them. Wallaby walkabout doesn't need to be massive. We can probably just pin it on the side of this building. And then the Australian sea lion. Africa and Asia, bit of a tricky one because it's going to be quite narrow down here. And obviously Africa is going to open up into this. Asia is going to sort of wrap around South America and will fill into there. I will say that Africa and Asia are the two fullest zones that I have for this zoo. They have the most animals. I think Africa probably has the most, then Asia, then South America, then Australia and New Zealand, then North America and Europe, if I even include North America and Europe. I haven't settled on that yet. But I've kept you all here long enough. Thank you all for sticking with me and for watching the videos, and thank you to the one person who commented on the last video giving me their input. I do really appreciate it, and I'm really sorry I've forgotten your name. I'll mention it in the next one. I'll make a note. But thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. We're still nearly at 100 subscribers. We haven't quite jumped that yet. but then again I haven't been putting content out, so that might explain why. Either way, I have talked for long enough. I hope you've enjoyed this tour, and I shall see you all in the next video, whenever that may be, and whatever that may be. Until then, thank you very much for watching. You can find me on Instagram at JW_YT. Until then, my friends, stay safe and stay kind. Bye bye for now.